Good
evening, sir. Respected office bearers, senior colleagues, junior colleagues, and colleagues, a pleasant evening to one and all. Thank you for the opportunity. Today, I am going to throw some light, a beam of light on oxygen therapy, rational and judicious use of oxygen in COVID 19, and also preparedness of private hospitals towards oxygen management and oxygen audit. Let us begin with a positive note. Nothing lost forever, not even the coronavirus. We will win this war. Let us join hands together to win the battle against the deadly second wave. Global pandemic, that is the COVID 19 pandemic, is the defining global healthcare crisis in our time. Immediate priority is saving the affected lives, and the need of the hour is vaccinating the entire population. In India, at present, the percentage of people requiring oxygen is 4.03%. 1.75% needs ICU care. 0.4% are percentage of people are on ventilator. The state, the present scenario as on 34 is this much cases, that is 10 lakhs are recovered, 11 lakhs and 66,000, 756 cases are positive, and at present patients are on treatment. I think I don't need to go for the guidelines on management of COVID 19 since Farooq sir has had a elaborate discussion on treatment of COVID. Let us concentrate on oxygen therapy. What are all the available devices for oxygen therapy? There are low flow devices, high flow devices, non-invasive ventilatory devices, and ventilators. Low flow devices like nasal cannula, simple face mask. High flow devices are non-rebreathing mask and high flow nasal oxygen devices. Non-invasive ventilation with CPAP and BiPAP machines, and then ventilators. The performance of each devices are variable, but with high flow nasal oxygen and non-invasive CPAP machines and with ventilators, the performance is fixed. The oxygen flow rate for each devices varies. For low flow devices, we can go up to 8 liters per minute. For high flow devices, we can go up to 60 liters per minute with high flow nasal oxygen devices. Use of oxygen delivery devices. We have to go in the order of nasal cannula first, then face mask, then non-rebreathing mask. Then we can go for non-invasive ventilatory devices like high flow nasal devices, that is high flow nasal oxygen with minimal FiO2 titrated to the oxygen SpO2 around 88 to 93%. Then we can go to the CPAP or BiPAP or EPAP, that is expiratory positive pressure ventilation. Then invasive ventilation. Target SpO2 should be 92 to 94 for hospitalized COVID 19 patients. Once this rate is achieved, the flow of oxygen need not be increased as it may not provide any additional benefit to the patient. This is nasal cannula or nasal prongs. As you all know, this is a disposable plastic device with two nasal prongs which can be fitted into the both nostrils. This will provide 24 to 44% of FiO2. We can give up to 6 liters per minute, from 1 liter to 6 liters. From 24% to 44% of FiO2 can be achieved with the nasal prongs. The advantages are disposable, easily tolerated, it delivers low concentration. Disadvantages are it can dislodge easily from the nose, drying of mucous membrane, skin irritation or breakdown of ears or at nace, unable to use with the nasal obstruction, with the patient with the nasal obstruction, the breathing pattern affects the FiO2 of the patients. This is a face mask. It is a low flow device. It is a clear, flexible plastic rubber device. It delivers 40 to 60% of oxygen at a flow rate of 5 to 10 liters per minute. You need not keep more than 10 liters for the face mask. It is wastage of oxygen. It vents on its sides, allows room air to enter into the mask. It dilutes the oxygen which we give. It can be molded and to fit into the face. It held to head with the elastic bands, only meant for patients able to breathe on their own. Advantages of face mask are it provides increased delivery of oxygen for a short period of time. It delivers 35 to 60% of oxygen. Disadvantages are tight chill is required when it is fixed on the face. It is difficult to keep on in position over the nose and mouth. Potential over for skin and there is skin and because of the pressure there is chance of skin breakdown. Non-rebreathing mask. The mask with oxygen reservoir bag that must remain inflated both during inspiration and during expiration. Two one-way valves present in this devices. It delivers high concentration of oxygen up to level of 90% at the flow rate of approximately 15 liters per minute. Non-rebreathing mask advantages are it delivers highest possible concentration, suitable for spontaneously breathing patients with severe hypoxemia. Disadvantages, malfunctions can occur if, uh, if there is malfunction, CO2 buildup can occur. High flow nasal oxygen, that is, the working principle of high flow nasal oxygen is THRIVE. Transnasal humidified rapid intraventilatory exchange. It provides heated humidified oxygen. Adult HFNO delivers 60 liters per minute of gas flow. It achieves a FiO2 of 100%. Advantages are minimizes room air entrainment, thereby increases FiO2. It can able to wash out dead space or carbon dioxide. It improves the efficiency of oxygen delivery. It reduces the need for mechanical ventilation. Favorable safety profiles are there with high flow nasal oxygen. There is chance of disadvantages. There is chances of abdominal distension, aspiration, and barotrauma. It is very rare. Non-invasive ventilation. It is not recommended in hypoxic respiratory failure in standard as per standard protocols. But we can initiate in cases of HFNC, non-availability, and a patient not maintaining SpO2 on flow rates of up to 60 liters per minute. According to WHO guidelines, in selected patients with COVID-19 and mild ARDS, a trial of HFNO, non-invasive ventilation, continuous positive pressure ventilation, BiPAP may be used. This is a tabular column which shows in x-axis the centimeters at which the aerosol contamination can occur. With NRM with less than 10 centimeters, there is chance of airborne, that is the aerosol contamination. With HFNO, with between 10 to 20 centimeters. With nasal cannula, approximately between 30 to 40 centimeters. With a simple mask and venturi mask, approximately between 40 centimeters. With a nebulizer, approximately around 80 centimeters. That is non-invasive IPPV, the aerosol contamination occurs only after 90 centimeters. Invasive mechanical ventilation indications. If there is patient with increased work of breathing, if the patient is not tolerating the NIV, that is non-invasive ventilation, and in cases with hypoxemic respiratory failure in ARDS, results Sorry. From intrapulmonary ventilation and perfusion mismatch requires mechanical ventilation. This is a WHO. Next slide. Recommend the WHO recommends prompt recognition of progressive acute hypoxemic respiratory failure when a patient with respiratory distress is failing to standard oxygen therapy and adequate preparation to provide advanced oxygen and ventilatory support. Patients may continue to have increased work of breathing or hypoxemia even when oxygen is delivered via face mask with reservoir bag. That means the non-rebreathing mask with a flow of 10 to 15 liters per minute. Management of hypoxemic respiratory failure and ARDS. Just when the patient comes, judge the patient whether it is stable or unstable. If the patient is unstable, directly you can go for the emergency airway management and you can intubate the patient and go for mechanical ventilation. If the patient is stable, you can go for standard oxygen therapy. That fails, go for high flow oxygen, nasal oxygen, then NIV. That also fails, go for intubation and mechanical ventilation. Fundamentals of airway management in COVID-19 patients. Endotracheal intubation is it should be performed by trained, experienced provider using airborne precautions. Initial settings in ventilators there should be low tidal volume, that is 4 to 8 ml per kg of predicted body weight. Then there should be lower inspiratory pressure, plateau pressure less than 30 centimeters of water, and the PEEP can be 8 to 18 centimeters of water. Titrated to targeted SpO2 as per protocol. Additional steps are, if the P-plat, that is plateau pressure is more than 30 centimeters of water, reduce the tidal volume up to 4 ml of body weight. If the SpO2 is less than 80%, despite the ARDS net protocol, increase the depth of sedation. You have to optimize the secretion clearance with the use of either mucolytics or bronchodilators. You can initiate early muscle relaxant infusion. Then practice early prone ventilation. In adult patients with severe ARDS, prone ventilation for 12 to 16 hours per day is recommended by WHO. In patients with moderate or severe ARDS, a trial of high PEEP, that is, instead of lower PEEP, is suggested and requires consideration of benefits versus risks. In patients with COVID-19, we suggest, that is, the WHO suggests individualization of PEEP, where during titration, the patient is monitored for effects and driving pressure. In patients with moderate to severe ARDS, neuromuscular blockade by continuous infusion should not be routinely used. You have to avoid disconnecting the patient from the ventilator, which results in loss of PEEP, atelectasis, and increases the risk of infection of healthcare workers. In patients with moderate or severe ARDS, a trial of high PEEP, as I said, can be practiced, but you have to practice only in the presence of infection preventive control measures are in place. In case if you have there is failure in hypoxemia is not refractive hypoxemia is there, the patient is not responding to your oxygen therapy, you can go for referral to the centers where the ECMO is there. Some adjunctive measures has to be given when the patient is on mechanically ventilated patient in ventilators. That is the appropriate fluid management, antibiotic as per the protocol, steps to reduce the ventilation associated pneumonia, head and elevation should be given, thromboprophylaxis, adequate sedation analgesia should be given. Regarding prone ventilation, I think Dr. Farooq has given an elaborate talk. I think I can skip that. Next is hospital preparedness plan. First, screening at first point of contact with the healthcare system. So, identify the persons with suspected and confirmed COVID-19 cases first, followed by immediate isolation. The triage patients and evaluate to determine disease severity. Initiate timely care and timely referral. This is a sample. You can keep some signboard like this, where you can in front of the hospital you can keep like the signboard like this. Stop. If you have experiencing cold or flu symptoms, fever, cough, shortness of breath, report immediately to the registration desk where there is COVID area. In next slide, I will show the triage areas. If the patient is having COVID-19 symptoms, you can send the patient to directly to the COVID triage area. If the patient is not having symptoms, you can send the patient to the non-COVID area. Hospital preparedness plan. This is a protocol according to the WHO. Full-time, you have to appoint a full-time emergency manager in all the hospitals to coordinate and oversee the COVID-19 operations. Next step is Operation Task Force, composed of key frontline personnel such as emergency department physicians, hospitalists, then critical care physicians, and infectious disease physicians, along with project managers to support activities such as triage, staffing, and facilities management. Next is well-resourced infection prevention team. Develop and revise personal protective equipment protocols with backup plans in the event of supply shortages. Facilitate personal protective equipment training, provide education about transmission risk, perform exposure investigations, and track epidemiology within the hospital. Next is bed capacity plan. Aim to be able to free up to 30% of beds. Next step is regional coalition. That includes local, country, and state public health and emergency management partners and neighboring hospitals and healthcare systems to coordinate bed capacity. Then we will go for oxygen optimization strategy. First of all the hospital has to set up a oxygen monitoring team. The oxygen monitoring team to be designed for each facility to inspect all areas from the manifold to the end user points. That is, the manifolds are the oxygen reserve areas, the liquid oxygen, storage area to the end user points. Then you have to set up an oxygen audit committee in each hospital. It is mandatory to supervise interventory planning, consumption pattern, regular repair and maintenance of gas pipelines, gas plant, wall-mounted gas outlets, etc. We have to review the consumption pattern of oxygen twice a week in every hospital and conduct audit and reduce the oxygen consumption if found to be in excess. Hospital management to reduce elective services to a minimum in the view of pandemic. The oxygen monitoring team has to, why we are set up, we are in a position to set up a consumption monitoring team, because it's basically to curtail the wastage of oxygen. Check oxygen usage points twice a day, and that team has to report to the manifold if there is any leakage. Ensure that all the flow meters are stopped after disconnecting from the patients. Don't forget, don't take all the take out all the flow meters from the non-utilized areas, stop oxygen supply in non-utilized areas, sensitize the patients to stop oxygen when not in use, ensure closure of oxygen cylinders and valves during no use at all the times. Check all the control and shut off valves in pipelines daily. Check the availability of oxygen daily and arrange for procurement by the special team in the hospital. Use nasal prongs instead of direct tubings on NIV to reduce the oxygen consumption. Use ambu bag instead of main circuit during pre-oxygenation. Use oxygen concentrators for low flow up to 5 liters per minute oxygen if the patient requires low flow oxygen. For mild cases, encourage awake proning intermittently with adjunctive physiotherapy that optimizes respiratory status. For moderate cases, with the cases with SpO2 of 90 to 93%, the flow rate of 2 to 4 liters of nasal prongs or 5 to 8 liters per minute of face mask can be used. 8 to 10 liters per minute by NRM mask can be used with possible awake proning. For severe cases, that is the SpO2 level less than 90%, oxygen flow rate of 10 liters per minute of invasive mechanical ventilation, that is either 25 to 30 liters per minute by NIV, 8 to 10 liters per minute by NRM can be used. See to that the mask of the patient is fitted tightly to all the patients. Avoid leakage and wastage. Patients on oxygen therapy should always be connected to all monitors like pulse oximeter, multipara monitor. Patients should be reviewed every 4th hourly to evaluate for the oxygen requirements as well as oxygen saturation rates. Weaning should be done from one mode to another as early as possible with the use of minimized oxygen support. An audit of oxygen use by ICU and ward should be done by clinical team on daily basis. If you go for the rounds, try to follow this mnemonics: drop flow, that is D. Disconnect when not in use. Disconnect the flow meter and the central oxygen pipeline. Or review and audit about the strategies to use oxygen optimally. Oxygen, that is O, oxygen concentration wherever possible, use the oxygen concentration. Concentrators. Next is P, that is prone. Awake proning to be encouraged wherever possible. F, FiO2, decrease the oxygen and observe SpO2 by 5% when in rounds on NIV, 5 liters per minute on high flow, by 1 liter on nasal prongs or mask or NRM. L, leak, the check for leak, prevent the leak and fix the leak as early as possible, either in the flow meters or in the pipelines or in the NRM mask, whether there is leak in the mask or NIV masks. Then again, target SpO2 to 92 to 93%, target PaO2 around 60 millimeter of mercury. W is wastage, avoid wastage, keep oxygen flow not more than 6 liters per minute on nasal prongs, more than 8 liters per minute on simple masks, not more than 14 liters per minute in NR. Oxygen consumption surge, some useful calculations to all the people, hospital owners. That is 1 liter of liquid oxygen is equivalent to 60 liters of gaseous oxygen at 20 degrees Celsius and 1 atmospheric pressure. 1 KL, that is equivalent to 8.6 lakhs of liter of gaseous oxygen. 1 KL will provide oxygen support to approximately 60 invasive mechanical ventilators for 24 hours with 100% FiO2. At the same time, 1 KL will provide 20 to 30 non-invasive mechanical ventilators for 24 hours with 100% FiO2. 1 KL provide 40 NRM patients for 24 hours with 15 liters of oxygen. The same 1 KL will provide oxygen for 24 hours for 60 NRM patients at the rate of 10 liters per minute. 75 patients can be given for 24 hours, 8 liters per minute. 150 patients with nasal prongs for 24 hours can be maintained with 4 liters of oxygen. Hospitals must be able to meet the demand and supply of oxygen. Let's say the number of oxygen bed is 10. Assuming that they are occupied, 10 patients are occupied, that 10 patient needs 10 liters per minute. One patient into 10 liters per minute for 24 hours into 60 minutes. The total need is 14,400 liters. If the patients are 10 patients, that is increased to 1,44,000 liters. The amount of oxygen in that is jumbo manifold cylinders is 6,538 liters. So for 10 patients, you need to have 22 cylinders at a time. So promote and ensure judicious use of oxygen in wards and ICUs. In each and every case, enhance accountability of oxygen conservation and thorough monitoring. Audit without compromising the quality of care. Oxygen is a precious drug. Use it judiciously. The better days will come. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. It's a wonderful presentation. A lot of technical details which many were actually looking for. So even in the yesterday's meet, we were discussing about what is the capacity of a A-type cylinder, B-type cylinder, and D-type cylinders. So all the specification has been clearly mentioned, and also ways how to conserve the only known drug in the treatment of COVID, that is oxygen, how it has to be used judiciously, and how it has to be used judiciously for many patients in a hospital has been clearly explained. So thank you once again, madam.